Alright fellas, here we are back in another Pokemon Masters video, where we're going to be going over Sygna Suit Bede. Okay, look, I know I'm late. Should have done this video yesterday. Whatever, it happens. It's only like 9-10 hours later probably when this goes up. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, Sygna Suit Bede I think is a character. This guy's good. Do I think he's valuable to go for? Probably not, but do I think he's good? Yes. Quite good even. I would say... Would I say a staple of fighting teams? Okay, the thing with saying staple of fighting teams is the fact that, like, fighting has no real amazing zone setter. So it's like, you kind of want to sacrifice a lot of pure power for like, fighting zone. Or, like, for, not, well, sacrifice zone for pure power, or pure power for zone. And honestly, I don't know which one's better. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's a weird case, though. I think fighting is definitely a weird type. Fighting needs another Sygna Suit or a Cynthia type character, like a support that sets its fighting zone or EX fighting zone that can just boost into the next week. That's what it really wants. Juliana. Juliana's not a bad character, for sure. I do think she peers out a little bit, but, I mean, still a really good character. I think it's so unfortunate that this is a past Paradox Pokemon. If Iron Valiant managed to work off Sun instead of Electric Terrain, oh my god, the Juliana's efficiency would be so good, man. Okay, anyway, whatever. Let's look at Bede. So, Bede is a fighting sprint strike character. His sprint is actually made of in very good usage in my opinion. I actually do really like how they did it. Looking at his moves, he's got Booster Energy, which of course we know how that works, and we got his Trainer move here, which raises his attack and special attack by 4 and crit by 3. Why both? Because he's a mixed attacker. He's got Close Combat, which we know how this works. About, 3 gauge, 148 max power without considering Super Awakening, lowers defenses, sure, whatever. Which, by the way, he does have Impervious in the grid, or in the passive, so this is actually just a damaging move, right? Impervious is nice. And then he's got himself the Buddy move, Refined Focus Blast, which is a guaranteed hit move. I guess, not really. It's 100 accuracy, if they have evasion buffs, whatever, but still. 3 gauge, 180 power, so a good chunk higher than Close Combat. It's activated whenever he uses Booster Energy, and it can't be deactivated, and it lowers enemy special defense by 1. Pretty good effects, for sure. I do wish that Close Combat would debuff physical defense. I don't think it does. Looking at his passive skills, just making sure I'm not going crazy. Yeah, no, it doesn't, but still. It'd be good. It'd be good if it debuffed defense. And then he's also, of course, being sprint character. He's got himself his sync move here, which is Shouldering the Future Elite Focus Blast, which has its own multiplier here of Brain Power. More special attack is raised, greater the power of the attack. He does, of course, want a character to be able to max out his special attack, which is fine. I mean, you can find a character that can do that pretty easily. There's a mixed supports though. We don't have many. Well, okay, I say we don't have many mixed supports. We've got Giovanni, right? Does Giovanni? Yeah, Giovanni does buff attack. Okay, so yeah, I'm not crazy. Giovanni does buff attack. And also Rosa buffs attack. Okay, yeah, okay. We'll go into those characters for this guy. Rosa and Giovanni are... Okay, anyway. Of course, Rosa's running right now, so we'll go into that stuff. We'll go into it. So, that's, of course, his moves. I mean, nothing too crazy, like, on the standout. And also stats. Definitely not crazy. 650 HP is whatever. 258 attack is pitiful. 188 defense, 161 special defense, 377 speed. Speed's good. Everything else is pretty shit. I mean, of course, we're going to want to invest 6-star EX, level 150 at the very least. You got buffs our HP to a good area. Same with the defenses. They get respectable enough for a damage-focused character. Offenses still suck ass. And then 437 speed. Having the Strike EX roll, he can get the 352 in the offenses. These are not great. I mean, they are anniversary Steven level. Let's not get it twisted here. Like, look at this. Poor guy. Honestly, worse. Okay, of course, anniversary Stevens are still worse, but like, oof. Man, not doing too good. But he does have the ability to Super Awaken, of course, which can buff his stats even further. If we want to invest that far, there we go, 379, 380-ish offenses, that's good, right? Like, he can definitely play off of these offensive stats and do some pretty good work. So if you really want to invest that, like, 6 out of 5 Super Awakening for the stats, I mean, I could see a pretty good use case of that. Of course, every other stat going up is very good as well. Good HP, very good speed, good enough defenses. It works out just fine. So, stats can be fine. Of course, again, offense can still be considered low, but he makes up for that in his own unique ways. Let's just say that. First off, Blades of the Future. Increases his physical and special moves next by 3 when using Booster Energy or when the ally turns the field of play into Electric Terrain. You're never getting this. Let's just cut the copium. You're not getting this. If you run this guy in Electric Terrain, there's 10,000 better ways to run this guy that is not in Electric Terrain. Like, let's see. Do I have a character that can I look for a character that can set up electric terrain? I do not think I can. Boo. I guess it would be an electric character, probably. I mean, you're not running these characters with Bede. None of them really have amazing synergy with him. It's being a fighting type, right? Like, no. Any support, maybe, but is there even any, like, major supportive character that can set electric terrain? I don't really think so. Most of them are going to be your damage dealers or utility, which buffs other electric types. You're not running this kind of electric terrain. That's the point, right? It's the booster energy. The +3 physical and special moves next one using booster energy. See, that makes booster energy worthwhile, because usually booster energy is only used for its utility effects, or if you literally have like nothing else to use your moves, like if you're out of gauge or something. Booster energy is not that great of a move out on its own. But when you're getting not only 1 special and physical moves up next, but 3 more for a total of +4, that makes it a little bit more valuable. And we've seen this gimmick before somewhat in a character like Costume Guzma. Costume Guzma is a character that released a long time ago, but his whole gimmick was based on missing, where Dynamic Punch is a strong move, he's got good offenses, yada yada, right? But he would want to miss Dynamic Punch because he's got Tenacity 3, which buffs his physical moves next by 3 when his move misses. So you want this guy to miss a bunch, he gets up to +3, 4, or 3, 6, 9. He does have, I think, another one, Tenacity 1 here for another physical moves next, so +4 like Bede. You know, he wants to miss twice, and then he wants to land his Dynamic Punch, which he can do with a sure hit, but the big thing with this guy is that it worked, it was fine. He was overshadowed by another character that released that month, whatever, not really a big deal. But the point is that you wanted that gimmick for him. It was better than just landing consecutive dynamic punches because you were getting a ton of physical moves up and special moves up next. Point being, the fact where usually a lot of cases like this where you don't want to alternate between using booster energy or some move up next boosting move and your damaging moves, it overall tends to be less damage in my, at least that, you know, you use 2 moves, does damage. Using 1 move to boost another move and then using that move doesn't tend to do as much damage. Usually, at least in given cases. Bede is an exception because he's not getting +1 physical and special moves up next, he's getting 4. So you do want to alternate between using booster energy and using his moves. And again, not only are you like alternating between using booster energy and like close combat, you're alternating between using booster energy, close combat, and the focus blast. Bede is a character that can go, like, let's say, use booster energy twice. You're at +8 special and physical moves up next. You don't have to go for close combat and then keep going for booster energy or something like that to, you know, keep the stacks up. You go for focus blast after that. Not because booster energy is effectively boosting 2 moves instead of just 1. You're not going booster energy close combat, booster energy close combat. You're going booster energy close combat, focus blast, booster energy, or, you know, something in the similar vein to that. It's a lot more efficient that way when he's got 2 moves that are both very strong to make good use of the effects that booster energy is able to provide. That is why this is very good, and why Bede works so well, and that's why his offensive stats are so low, up to 370 something with super working. I'm not about to reset the stats. I wish it would fucking save, but whatever. That's the point I'm kind of going for there. He's also got this passive skill, which is they love to make, you know, wordy, but thankfully we've got this update here to make it a lot easier to look at. He's got Impervious for stat debuff immunity. Again, close combat, not going to debuff his stats. Extend range, just a little bit of something to note. That the Strike X roll is kind of useless. Okay, I say Strike X roll is useless for him, but the stat buffs are great. Tech would have been better. Whatever, it's fine. Extend range. Yeah, extend range. So this turns his DPS moves into AoE moves. He does have the Strike X roll to make his sync move AoE as well, but whatever, it's fine. I think it would have been better if he had the Tech X roll at this point for the multiplier and then given him this ability plus sync moves, like whatever the hell it is that whoever the characters are that have it. I don't remember. I really don't, but it's fine. Doesn't matter that much. Point being, he's got these, not only are these moves going to be doing a ton of damage single target, they're going to be doing a ton of damage multi-target. That's great, right? That's obviously going to be very, very good. You're able to hit all enemies AoE and do a ton of damage. He is a strike character, so he can, of course, sync and take out, you know, enemy sides. And, of course, depending on who you want to run him with, whether it be like Ray or even Bianca or Juliana, you know, whoever you're, like, running as another character alongside him, could be Champion Hob, but I really don't know if the zone providing that this guy brings is better than bringing one of these other characters. I don't know if that's better or not. I really don't. Someone can test that out and figure it out. I'm not sure. But either way, those characters can do some good AoE damage as well, meaning that this guy doing AoE damage is really good, but not, like, super necessary. But also at the same time, you know, if you are going to bring him with a single target character like Champion Hop or something like that, or you're not going to bring it with Diantha, but let's just say for argument's sake, whatever, then, well, he can cover the sides, right? So that's very, very helpful. And then Strike, Physical, and Special Boost up 9. increasing physical and special moves next by 1 when his attack move hits. If the move has a multi-strike effect, 100% chance of increasing the moves up next for each hit. Does this count with extend range? I need to look that up. So yeah, it's AoE. Yeah, it's AoE. Credit to Shaded Knights for this video. Awesome stuff. Yeah, we can confirm here that that actually does work AoE considering how extend range works. We go for the we can see that Bede's got +6 physical moves up next here when it goes for close combat. Nails the close combat, does his damage, whatever, and then boom, +3 physical moves up next after that. So yeah, this works for AoE, which is very good. That's why he's got extend range. I honestly think this might make it even more valuable to bring him with a single target attacker, so you can try and manipulate maxing this out as long as possible while the sides stay alive, because the sides are probably going to get shredded really quick, unfortunately. So you're probably going to want to see how long you can really make a lot of major use of this. That's really, really good. And then he's also got Carve My Name into History, which is able to decrease his sync countdown by 3 the first time his physical moves next reaches 6, and also his special moves next reaches 6. This brings in his sprint aspect. He's got the sprint sync countdown as well, of course, from using his sync move, and now he's got -3 from having physical and special moves next being at +6 or higher. That's really good, obviously. Wow. Oh, wait. Oh, I can't read. Okay, so this reduces sync countdown. This decreases. Okay. I forgot. I remember I read that ability whenever the guy came out, and it confused the hell out of me. No, physical moves next, he reduces sync countdown. Special moves next, he increases his special moves next even more, which is a little absurd, honestly, but I guess it makes sense given that this move is stronger. So, yeah, let's backtrack there. I can't read. I know. -3 sync countdown whenever he gets his physical moves next to 6 or higher. And another +3 special moves next when he gets his special moves next to 3 or higher. So basically, if you get 6 or 7 special moves up next, well, you're at 9 or 10, basically. The first time. Obviously, not every time, which would be even more ludicrous. Whatever. So, and this is just Bede at his base. This is why Bede has such low offensive stats, is because he can make so much crazy usage of physical and special moves up next to boost both of his damaging moves to the point where you're basically dealing with +5, 6, 7, or higher physical and special moves up next basically every time you attack, which can be increased even more given certain partners that Bede can make very, very good use of. So, like, again, let's recap here. This guy's getting +4 physical moves and special moves up next from using booster energy. There you go. He's getting +1 of both for every enemy he hits when he lands an attack move that's not his sync move. So +3, assuming there are 3 enemies for both, again, both stats. And then he's getting another +3 special moves up next the first time he reaches +6 special moves up next. Hello, that's broken. That's pretty crazy, right? That's a lot of physical and special moves up next. And let's just consider this. A character who is currently running this month, I need to really filter a lot better, this character, Champion Rosa. Champion Rosa is still a very good support. That's still 100% a top 10 support. Maybe top 5. I'm not sure. I would say so. I would guess. But she's still really, really good, despite being a year and a half old, which is insane, man. I'm old. Anyway, being basically a year and a half old, she is still really, really strong. She supports sprint, so she's got that sync countdown synergy with Bede, but more importantly, what she's able to do is two main things. I guess this. Is it in the effects of here? I honestly don't know. I don't know where it is. I'll be honest with you, Chief. I don't remember where it is. There it is, Entrancing Melody. Lowers target psychic rebuff by 1 the first time the user's move targeting the opponent each battle when it is Aria form. Lowers target fighting rebuff by 1 rank the first time it uses a move targeting the opponent each battle when it is in Pirouette form. So whenever Meloetta turns into its Pirouette form, I don't know if I'm saying that right, by the way. I'm assuming. I'm guessing. And it uses either Teeter Dance or Relic Song of Wonder, it's going to lower all enemies' fighting rebuff by 1. So that is a direct 30% damage buff to Bede. Of course, you can stack that to -3 with Champion Bianca if you use her buddy move. So there's, again, another great partner for Bede right there. She's also able to debuff defenses extremely quickly, so... Or is it just defense? It actually might just be defense. Yeah, Defense Destroyer. So she can debuff defense as well for Bede, where he can debuff special defense, she can debuff defense. They have pretty good synergy there as well, just something to note. Rosa is able to lower all enemies' fighting rebuff by 1, giving him even more fighting damage, but that's not even the best ability. The best ability is, I think, this. Yes, Relic Nostalgia. Switches between Aria and Pirouette form when the user's attack move or sync move, which includes Relic Song and its name is successful. But this. Increases physical moves up next and special moves up next by of all allies by 1 rank when the user changes forms while on the field of play. So every time Rosa uses Relic Song of Wonder or her sync move, she will change her forms and increase all allies' physical and special moves up next by 1. Again, stacking all of the physical moves and special moves up next, stacking that Bede can already do on his own. ROSA not only gives him the support of that fighting rebuff, but also another layer of both, basically just by doing what you're going to want to do anyway. Because ROSA's a really good support anyway as well. She's able to sing if you do need some sleep support. She's able to put in confusion if you need that for whatever reason. But she's able to debuff, or sorry, raise all ally stats, every single stat by random whenever she uses her buddy move. Able to buff crit very consistently. This also, let's just note this, the fact that Bede's only able to buff his moves by +4, or his offenses by +4, ROSA can cap those out. A little bit of luck needed, but she can do it. And she's also got potions, of course, for just conventional strong HP buffing, and her buddy, or trainer move, which is able to raise ally speed for gauge management, and also increases special moves up next by 2 when in Aria form, and physical moves up next by 2 when in Pirouette form. Even more moves up next buffing. And again, that's not even considering, again, the sprint sync countdown shenanigans she can do, like the effects of being able to be very good at buffing the team's defenses with Team Stoic and Team Force Field, or whatever it's called here, Force Field 9, and other things, right? So this character, also Unova Flagbearer, just a master pass, just another reason to think she's really good. Still, top 10 support, top 5 support, I'd say, and a very, very strong potential best partner for Bede. Also, if you did happen to pull for Sygna Suit Alt Giovanni, he's also got some pretty good effects as well. I think if you are able, where is it? Team Strengthening. Yeah, I think it's 5 out of 5 top. Yeah. At 5 out of 5, if you've got Giovanni here, Strengthening status 9, increasing physical and special moves next of all allies by 1 when using Stockpile. Of course, that's the main move you're going to be using with Giovanni. That's even more moves up next for Bede. That's most of the synergy they share, but of course, Giovanni on his own is a really, really good support anyway, so it doesn't really matter. On top of course, Sync move up next and just amazing bulk. Again, Bede has got those two for his main batteries of more physical and special moves up next, which he's already very, very good at applying to himself. And this is without the grid. Of course, you know, moves up next can only carry you so far. He does want stuff in the grid, and well, he gets it. 1 out of 5, nothing too crazy. 2 out of 5, he gets healthy healing, train move NPR, some gauge refresh stuff, boost energy NPR, shock recovery, turbocharge, and flappable. Again, you're never running this guy. Maybe a gauntlet setup, I don't know. If these abilities are that amazing, then sure, maybe a gauntlet setup. But for the most part, you're not ever going to run him in Electric Terrain, but these do provide some gauge and healing abilities, again, mostly just gauntlet stuff. Dragon Guard as well. This could be good against a few UBs like Morgans, Evelyns, whatever other ones use dragons, I don't remember. But, you know, those that have dragon moves, there you go. That's pretty damn helpful. But he does, the boost energy NPR is probably the biggest tile here. Getting this, again, it not only means you're getting +1 of physical and special moves next every time you use it, you're getting +4. So the more chances you have to use booster energy, the more moves up next you can stack and stuff like that, right? I do think that the stacking becomes a little bit less, not less useful, definitely not, still really, really good. Plus you have to use one anyway in order to get the buddy move activated. But it does become, I guess, less impactful to go for the more enemies that are currently on the field. I feel like it might just be better to straight up start attacking multiple enemies, like just keep attacking, gain and buff your moves up next by this passive, and then once all the enemies are gone, or at least it's only down to one enemy, using boost energy might become more effective. So being able to save that for later in the battle might be more useful. Just a little strategy maybe, I don't know. Train with NPR, it's good if you can't max out his offenses on his own, maxes out his brain power, maxes out his offenses, so these can do even more damage. Just more damage increasing stuff. It's pretty good. And then healthy healing, again, more gradual healing stuff. Again, if you do need this, mostly a gauntlet ability, but if you only have 2 out of 5 for whatever reason, then, well, extra healing just for free on entry with no strings attached is going to be pretty helpful. I guess you have to be at full HP, but what's that going to apply to? Champion Stadium? Big whoop. Doesn't matter. So, yeah. Whatever 2 out of 5, I would say. The healing's nice. Train with NPR and boost energy NPR is nice, but for the most part, you're going to want a higher investment, as usual. He's got trainer move, offenses up. This is fine. Not really, honestly. Again, you're going to want to run him with Giovanni, Sygna Suit Rosa, or just some character, not Sygna Suit, Champion Rosa, someone who could just buff his own moves up, or his own offensive stats to the max. This is only +5 as well. If this was +6, then like maybe I could see the value in it. Again, if you're not running a support that can do that, but for the most part, I just wouldn't worry about it. Empowering Command, increasing his moves up next by 1 when his trainer uses a move. Of course, that's going to apply to the trainer move and then booster energy. This does mean that if you do have this ability picked up, if you use your trainer move and then booster energy, you're immediately proccing both of these effects here, right here, because you're getting +5. You're getting, okay, so let's just do the math. You're getting +2, or well, sorry, +1 from booster energy, +1 from this, and then +4 from this, or +3 from this. So that's +5. And then you get +1 from the trainer move, that's +6. And both moves up next. Before Bede even starts attacking, he's got +9 special moves up next, and +3 on the sync countdown. Yeah, so I mean, I can see some good tech in that in very short battles. Other than that, honestly, not too much. I mean, it's not a bad tile. It really isn't, because this does apply every time he uses booster energy. It means you're just getting +5 and moves up next every time you use booster energy. But it's pretty high up here, pretty far out of the way, so I'm not sure how it'll look in the grand scheme of things with how his grid works. It's just something to consider. And then first, one on opponent. Okay, one on op field and hit fizzle special boost 1/9. Bro. 100% chance of increasing both moves up next by 1 when its attack move is successful while there's only 1 enemy. That's it. That's all you need to read. This basically makes this, you know, become not nearly as a big deal. And so instead of you getting +3 moves up next whenever you attack the enemy, you get +2. A little bit of a drop off, yes, but definitely not as big as if he was at, you know, dupless and this drops from 3 to 1, right? So this is actually a very solid tile, I'd say, to pick up. It's also right next to booster energy NPR. So again, if you want to make use of the big effects that booster energy can provide, you can pick that up right there. Also, booster energy BOGO, if you need gauge stuff, it's right there. Of course, he gains both of these sync tiles. He does gain Sharpen Mind 5. This is basically a necessity of a tile. This is a 50% multiplier just for having a special attack raised. Which, by the way, him having Impervious is very good. Means that he cannot be hit with these stupid debuffs that so many Ultimate Battle stages hit. Isn't it Morgan, Dana? I know those are the big ones. Those two are the big ones I can think of when it comes to debuffing Ultimate Battle stages. Immediately off the top of my head. I have not fought the latest ones, so I don't know anything about them, but whatever. I would say that is good. And then, like that, him having Impervious and basically having this activated every single time without any sort of like influence is very good. Unless we somehow get the ability enemies that have the ability to reduce our moves MP without us having used them. That would be terrible. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's fine. Ooh, disc full in approximately 1.8 hours. Okay, 1.8k hours. Anyway, I am very ADHD apparently. Damn, look at that. That's fun. 1,800 hours. My disc will be full. I think we're good, chat. I think we're good. Anyway, whatever. So, Sharpen Mind 5. We love to see that. 50% multiplier on his DPS options. That's really, really strong, of course. So. And again, the 2 sync nodes there. He does have opponent special defense down. Sync moves up 9. This is a 90% multiplier on the sync move. I forgot he had that. He's also got another sync tile here for +50 sync power for 8 energy. So, I mean, you're actually getting less usage energy than if you were to do these, because these would be 10 total. So, 8. That's very good. And then Haymaker right next to it. So, this guy's got 290% in total sync multipliers. God damn, it's crazy. Yeah, okay. And on top of a 50% multiplier here on damage, on top of all of his moves up next buffing and his amazing partners. At 3 out of 5, let's add that at 3 out of 5. Hello, Bede, you're awesome. You are very awesome. I think, again, the major issue you have with this guy is trying to pick up all of this. I would just ditch the sync tiles, frankly. I like this, personally. I don't know what everyone else's opinion is on this tile, but I think it looks really good. It's promising. You can pick up this if you can afford it, but otherwise, that is rough. That is very fucking rough. Poor guy. For me. Wow. Bede, you suck. Why is your grid placement like this? You make me sad, Bede. You make me sad. Might have to sack that sync tile, frankly. I don't know, because you do want to get all the multipliers. If you're going to want to run this guy, this guy's DPS is really good, but I mean, you're going to want to run a sync as well. I mean, that's, despite the low offense, is a lot of multipliers. That's really good. And again, if you run in with Sygna Alt Giovanni, well, then you're also running off of sync move up next. So this guy's going to look really good with that stuff. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to pick this stuff up. Let me make a grid, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look. I think given just how expensive Bede's grid is, maybe something like this. I mean, you would have to sacrifice this tile. Again, I'm not sure what like how much the impact this will have like in the long run, given, you know, the usage of this and whatnot and stuff like that. I'm not too sure. I mean, Bede definitely looks like a character that could peter out a lot in damage if there are not multiple enemies for him to gain a ton of moves on next stacks quick, if he doesn't have booster energy and PR to also work with. I don't know. He does have an expensive grid. That much is for certain. You could also opt to sacrifice all the sync up stuff and just go for this. I mean, that's +10. Jesus. I mean, again, something like this, maybe if you really wanted to go for it, you can. Then, you know, you could probably pick up something, again, like this. I mean, missing out on sync damage is going to be crappy, basically no matter what happens, like because you're missing out on that. That's a pretty massive power discrepancy, like almost like 80 points difference basically. But you're still getting a lot of the multipliers. The main thing for his sync stuff, I don't know. I think it's just going to be something you have to like trial run and test run and stuff like that. Like see what is the best way to go about doing it. Do you want to really capitalize on all the moves up next buffing he can do mostly with this tile and his DPS stuff, or do you want to try and capitalize on maxing his sync stuff while also not completely abandoning his DPS stuff? Like again, could you abandon this, pick up the sync stuff, and be like good, or is there going to be an issue you might face? I mean, this is plus 10 by the way. If you want to if you want to go like 4 to 5, I mean, there you go. You can pick up these plus 20 tiles, which again, with how low his offenses are, the more buffs you can gain from stuff like this, the bigger it's gonna like have an impact on his overall strength. Especially again, if you have him super awakening, that buffs his offenses to over +4 or over 400. That's really good, right? So yeah, I guess it'll just be up to mostly what you try out, whatever discrepancy you can kind of like look at between like what is better between buffing his his DPS as much as possible, or his sync moves as much as possible. Because again, he's got a lot of good multipliers. He's got a lot of good moves up next buffing options, and the 50% multiplier in damage here. He's gonna look really good for damage. That's at the very least that is gonna be pretty much the guaranteed truth. So yeah, just something to consider. At 4 to 5, he has one on opponent field and hit, whatever. Applying free moves next whenever he attacks only one enemy. This is a gauntlet tile. This is a gauntlet node. That's basically it. Nothing really else. I would not use this for really anything else other than the legendary gauntlet. Again, if you're running him with a crappy gauge setup, then sure. But I mean, if you're running him with his best support partner, Champion Rosa, you're not really going to have gauge problems. Even Giovanni's not terrible with his own like gauge stuff because he's got his own like infliction freebie and whatever. So I mean, Giovanni's probably going to be mostly fine on gauge, and you can have your third be like, where is it? Bianca, who has, it's like speed buffing. What the hell is the ability she can do again? She does something to buff speed or buff like gauge. She's got her own free moves next, I believe. Yeah, she's got free moves next whenever she uses circle. So Bede would be the only one that would actually even consume gauge, right? So you can still manage gauge very, very well with this guy without really having any issue. And again, he's also got 476 speed, so he's not hurting for that stuff. Anyway, he's also got hits, defensive, special defense down. Again, if you're running him with Bianca, you don't really need the defensive debuffs, and he's also able to debuff special defense on his own. If you're not running him with Bianca, I could maybe see some better use in this, but honestly, I think I would just be a lot more comfortable in bringing a debuffer with him, just because I don't know, again, he already debuffed special defense fine, not really that big of an issue, but I think there's a lot of stuff he's already trying to pick up in his grid to where debuffs is something he might not be able to afford very well. So again, just something to really consider with this guy. Test out like the best methods that he can buff his damage and see really what works. Also, I think that Hop can debuff, yeah. Hop debuffs defenses here, and doesn't he debuff special defense some way? I don't quite remember. Yeah, right here, he's able to debuff special defense. So if you do run him with, that fighting zone set or whatever, and you want to get some debuffs in, Hop can do those debuffs as well. So it's not like too terrible, right? So there are some partners he can be run with that can help him with those debuffs and still look very, very effective, very, very good, right? Also, let's just consider you can still run this guy with Arc Suit Steven, who can do the debuffing for him. Let's not get it twisted. This guy's gonna look very good under Arc Suit Steven, especially given the physical moves up next Steven can provide to him. So again, just more things to consider there. 5 to 5 gets Sync Burst, which, I mean, boosts your energy and the trainer move. This is good if you don't have that offensive buffing ability from a support partner, which, again, I think you're mostly running a less good team setup if that's the case. And Boost Energy is nice, but it's right below Boost Energy NPR. This takes out the RNG, but still, I'd rather just get the Boost Energy NPR myself, just in my opinion. And then he also gets Sync Move, Physical and Special Boost 2, giving you +2 physical and special moves next whenever you use the Sync Move any single time in battle. I don't know how good of a tile this is, mostly just given the price of it relative to whatever else is around here. I think this honestly could look really good though, because this is bridging, like kind of bridging a gap for him. I think this could be very good. You might want to go for debuffs, I'm not too sure, but this could be very strong. The only unfortunate thing about it is that he cannot pick up this tile, but I mean, wow, that sucks for him. That really sucks for you, Bede. I am so sorry that happened to you. Wow. Is there any cheaper way to go about doing this? Not really. This is the cheapest you get. That's unfortunate. If you could pick up Boost Energy NPR, it wouldn't be that bad, honestly. But I mean, either way, this might be one of the better setups he can kind of work with, because he's getting his moves up next, stacks and whatnot. He's getting all of his sync stuff, and he's still got a lot of like innate strength that's looking really, really strong. So I think he's fine. This is very, very helpful, the +2 over here, and again, on top of him getting +1 with Rosa and Giovanni every single turn for both of them moves up next, be able to use boost energy at least twice in battle, still being able to get +1 on both whenever he uses any attacking move. Yeah, I think Bede's going to look still really, really good. Again, this, I think, if anything, the 5 out of 5 really just helps him a lot in being able to, like, bridge this around. So that's helpful. At the very least, that is quite helpful. You could also, again, like, you know, invest +10 energy, or +8 energy, I guess, and get something like this where he can also be efficient in his own debuffs. So, again, just more stuff to really consider if you think you could use it. Super Awakening, he does get Brawling, Opening Sync, and Fighting Zone Extension. This is helpful if you, especially if you don't have a Fighting Zone setter. This will make any time after he uses his Sync move, this will make him look really strong for that, like, that burst amount of time. You know, I mean, Fighting Zone plus 30% extension is not that great. I think it's a Sync cycle, basically. That's not too bad. But that during that duration of that sync cycle, that's going to be a massive increase in damage. Again, especially if you're not running a Fighting Zone character, you know, let's say Champion Rosa and Champion Bianca, or Champion Rosa and, I don't even know, Arc Suit Steven, maybe double support, or like, you know, Rosa and Juliana, Steven and Juliana, you know, again, if you're not, again, just not running a Fighting Zone setter. So I think that's something to consider. Also, okay, let me just make sure I'm not going crazy here. She does not set Fighting Zone, does she? I'm pretty sure she does not. Yeah, she just, yeah, okay. I'm not that crazy. Got it. I'm glad. I'm very, very glad. He's also got Strong Start 2, increasing both of his moves up next by 2 on entry. This kind of just, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with Empowering Command, but it just makes it more immediate. You know, you use Booster Energy, you get +6. There you go. You get yourself all of these effects before the first sync. So I think that can be really good. Overall, though, I think Bede is a very good character. I think his Super Awakening could be a very good investment if you are willing to like go that far. He looks very good in all regards. Like if you get him to 3 out of 5, he looks pretty damn good. If you get him to 5 out of 5, he looks really good. If you get him to 10 out of 5, he looks really good. You know, I think Bede definitely gains a lot from all the different buffs of basically every different move level, or every major different move level. So he's definitely looking to be a very strong staple for damage on a fighting type team, and he's looking to be really, really strong just in general. So we'll just have to see how he's looking, I guess. There's a lot of showcases already kind of coming out for him, and we'll just have to see what the best like strategy is for him, best grid makeup. Is it good to focus on sync damage and let the innate effects that he's already got of boosting his own special and physical moves up next stack up on its own? Or is it better to go for a full like DPS offensive grid, and then, or maybe just a hybrid grid? Who knows? We'll just have to see how that goes. But yeah. Again, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you all think about Sygna Suit, Bede, and Iron Valiant down in the comments below. I'll see you later. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace.